All right, this is the first episode of the Frontlines podcast. We're going to be trying it out. Just going to be a discussion about news and politics. And here we go. I'm Joey.
I'm Max.
All right, we're just going to start out with a list that's 100 easy ways to make women's lives more bearable. And we both respect women a lot, so we're gonna see what we can do.
Yeah, exactly.
To make things easier. So number one is before explaining something to a woman, ask yourself if she might already understand. She may know more about it than you do. And with the whole holier than thou attitude right here.
I mean, we both believe men and women are equal, but that doesn't mean that we can not assume someone's more educated than us just because they're.
But what if they don't know?
Yeah, what if they don't know?
It's just being polite, trying to we're not looking down on people when we explain things to them. We're trying to make sure they know what we're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
All right, number two is related. Never ever try to explain feminism to a woman. Well, basically
I mean, no one knows what feminism is. Sure, you could pull the dictionary definitions, the equality of genders, but feminism's more than a word, it's a movement.
It's a political movement and it's an ideology. The definition can change, and we can't just always go with the dictionary definition because, depending on what the group's goals are, the definition of it can change.
Yeah.
And number three is trans women are women. Repeat that until you perish. The TERFs might not like that.
Yeah, not really. But you know what? Trans woman wants to be a woman. Sure,
they're
whatever.
a funny group. They're all for the women's rights, and then they find out that
they're trans.
There's a person that's biologically male with them, and they get all angry. It's whoa, I thought you wanted the equal rights. I mean, come on, being really hostile to people right now.
But I mean, in general, honestly, if someone looks enough like a woman, and they actually go through that kind of stuff, no one's gonna question them. But what I have a big problem with is when people try to make me say stuff like they and them as pronouns, because that's just incorrect grammar. And
if someone's a nice person, they're a good person, I'll do it because I don't care.
I don't really.
But I'm not gonna if you're trying to make me do this, then I'm not gonna want to do it because I'll be nice to you, but you can't just be a horrible person to me and respect me to respect you.
Yeah, and that pretty much
I'll
covers
call you the wrong thing on purpose if you're mean to me at all.
And that basically covers the next one too.
Right.
So remember that fat women exist and aren't trying to get thin. Treat them with respect. Okay, sure.
I don't disrespect overweight people.
No.
That's messed up.
Yeah, people
it's like pointing at but just when people say that you can be healthy at every size, it's well, no, you can't. You're hurting yourself by doing this, and it's I'm not trying to be rude to you. You're lying to people.
Be kind to women in customer service positions. Tip them extra, but not in a creepy way.
So what they're saying here is that we should just tip women extra
because they're women. Yeah.
I'll tip you the same as anyone else, and I'm not gonna base your tip on what gender you are. I'm gonna base your tip on how polite you are.
Exactly. I mean, this is the irony. They want women to be treated equally, yet but these people are trying to fight for some kinds of superiority.
Yeah, a couple up, number 9, is pretty ironic. Don't maintain a double standard for anything.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. Really?
Yeah.
I mean...
Gotta look up to number 7.
It's we want equal rights. This is what we want. I'm saying that anyone that's a good person wants equal rights for men and women. But, I mean, and... Yeah, it's true that you shouldn't maintain double standards for anything ever. But that directly contradicts the one that we just read.
Exactly.
Number 10. Close your legs on public transit. Oh my god.
Okay, don't take up an extra seat with a purse. It goes both ways.
We both do this thing.
Everyone does it. Honestly, it's no big deal.
I mean, it's not.
It's uncomfortable to sit with our legs crossed.
Yeah, men are different than women biologically. I know a lot of people don't like that, Anita Sarkeesian or whatever. But I mean, we're not the same. You can't just say, well, I don't need to do that, so you're just being rude by doing it. It's no, I'm gonna hurt myself if I don't have my legs open.
Exactly. It hurts. I know.
Right, number 12 is up here. Explain your language when talking about women. Get rid of irrational, dramatic, bossy, and badgering. Well, yeah, but like,
I call men bossy, badgering, and irrational
anyone
all the time.
those things if they're being those things.
Yeah, it's not just
It's
women.
not a sexist thing. Like, I'll call anyone that. Like, if that's what you're being, then I'll describe you that way. I'm not doing it because, like, women. I'll do that to anyone if they're being that way.
Exactly.
Like, if I'm describing you that way, it's because you're bossy.
I mean, people think that there's still sexism, which there definitely is, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of times, it's just men treating women just the exact same as they treat men. I call people irrational, people call me irrational, and it's just the way people talk. It's not anything regarding your gender, honestly. Okay, number 13. Don't think to yourself, I describe men like that too. You probably don't.
Okay, we do. You can say you want to be equal, and then I'll treat you equal. I'll do that because I'm a good person and I'm willing to do that.
Oh,
but
I just said
if
that.
you don't want me to treat you equal, if you want me to put you up on a pedestal,
not happening.
then yeah, I'll treat like I'm. Come on.
Back to the double standard.
All right, and then there's another part of that same one. If you do, it's to criticize them for acting like a woman. I criticize anyone that's acting bossy to me.
Yeah.
Men and women. I don't care. Like if you're being a bad person, then that's how I'm gonna describe you.
It's part of life. I mean,
I know it's like cliche, but it's like I'm not gonna see gender when you're being a horrible person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're being a horrible person, all I see is that you're being a bad person to me. Like just don't be a bad person, and I won't describe you that way.
Okay. You know, we're gonna skip number 14 because there's no reason to answer it.
Let's say for work, man.
Number 15. Stop calling women feisty. We don't need a special lady for a lady word who has an opinion.
I've never really had much experience with that.
I've never called anyone feisty before.
I mean, I haven't called anyone that, but I mean,
I
get where they're coming from with this.
Yeah, I get it too. This is one point that I agree with because I don't see a man being called feisty very much.
Yeah.
So you know, I 1 for 15. 1 for 15.
They got 1 for 15.
Broadly.
They got 1 for 15.
Yeah.
All right. Number 16. Recognize women's credibility when you introduce them. Donna is lovely is much less useful than Donna knows S-word loads about architecture.
I mean,
it's like, well, when you're introducing someone to someone, I'm not. They probably don't care if you know about architecture. Like, if I'm introducing anyone to anyone else I know, it doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna like introduce them in a way that's gonna like make the person I'm introducing them to like want to hit it off with them more.
Yeah.
Like if I say someone's lovely, someone's like really cool, then that person's gonna probably want to talk to them more, and then they'll get to know them.
Yeah, when I introduce someone, I just don't walk up to someone like, "Hey, did you know that Donna knows crap loads about architecture?" I say, "No, hey, this is whoever. She's good at this, and this. Great." You don't have to jump directly to a specific when you're interrupting someone. I think that's just ridiculous.
What are we gonna go to next?
Learn to praise a woman without demonizing other women. You're not like other girls is not a compliment.
Yes, that's saying that that's something that like a guy says to a girl to say that like, oh, you're better than other girls that I've met because, well, I think that you're good and I like you more than them. Like that is a compliment. Like why would you not want to be better than other people? Like that's not demonizing other women. That's complimenting you. Why can't people compliment each other without it being taken as like tearing down other people?
I know. I feel like eventually, I don't know if there already has, feminist.com or whatever is going to come out with a book of everything we can say or do. And right now, everything's so limited. Honestly, 99% of feminists aren't abiding by their own rules because this list has contradicted itself
it depends,
18
because
times.
There are a lot of feminists that I really respect and I like. But I mean,
well, I'm just saying everyone contradicts these rules. I mean, they're impossible to follow.
There are a lot of feminists that like I really respect their like the things that they say. Like people like Lacey Green. I really respect them. But I mean, people like Anita Sarkeesian, I just have no respect for at all. But like the sex positive feminists that like are.
Yeah. All right, we're back for our next segment.
Yeah, we have an article that's diversity of thought is just a euphemism for white supremacy by Michael Harriot. And we're going to look into this and see if it has anything.
Yeah, I'm completely unfamiliar with this article. I think Joey's read it once or twice, so could you explain to me a little bit what's going on?
Go through a little bit of it. Every so often, a new phrase emerges that encapsulates the cunning Caucasian ability to keep power and dominance within their clutches by painting themselves as the oppressed class. Whenever it is reverse racism, okay, pause. There's no such thing as reverse racism. It's just called racism.
Yeah, it's just called racism.
Anyone can be racist to each other.
I mean, there's some people, even teachers I've had in the past, that have said that black people or other races can't be racist. I mean, because they don't have societal power. I mean, that's just not true.
I think that the only way that we can get to a point where we're all equal together is that if we accept that we can all be racist to each other.
Mm-hmm. Anyone can be racist.
We should just stop saying bad things about each other because of our race.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no excuse for it.
It's the best way to solve it. I mean, unfortunately, it's impossible to ever solve racism in this world, but we want to make race relations as good as possible.
Yeah, we can slowly push it out, but I mean, there's always going to be racism.
Yeah.
And the best way to probably combat racism is
to
treat each other as equals.
Yeah.
And when you say stuff like reverse racism, it's basically saying that racism is something that white people do to minorities. And I mean, that's more of a detriment to minorities than white people because, well, it's just getting us further from the point where we're all equal together and we treat each other as equal and we don't really even see the differences between each other.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
All right, here we go. Whether it is reverse racism, make America great again, or separate but equal. Okay, does anyone even...
Separate but equal. No one even
Coining
says
catchphrases as a mean of maintaining white supremacy has been one of our national pastimes since disparate nations of men traversed the Atlantic and coalesced by renaming themselves white people. Now there's a new one. All right, with diversity of thought.
Diversity of thought is the most important diversity there is, and...
I mean, because like, you can have all sorts of different people, different races, but it doesn't matter if we all think the same.
Yeah.
It's the only way that we can really get to a point where we're equal and that we can all have our own thoughts and we all have the right to say and do what we want.
Yeah.
Is if we have diversity of thought, because if we all have the people that are all thinking the same way, then we basically have mob rule.
I don't agree with what you're saying, but I will fight for the right to protect it. I mean, that's the gist of what you're saying, and I agree with that.
Yeah, who was the woman that said that? We learned about that.
Yeah, we learned that was a misquote, remember?
Yeah, that was not actually
And it was
Voltaire.
a woman that said it.
It wasn't actually Voltaire. It was,
Didn't even know. I don't know.
We'll
find that out.
I mean, yeah, and he said that, on Tuesday, The Root published a piece about Marshall DeRosa, a Florida Athletic University professor who spends his spare time teaching his unique brand of revisionist constitutional history to hate groups and explaining why the Civil War is the result of black supremacy. Well, if that's true, then that's a horrible person.
Yeah, but I think we need to learn more about this because I
course
feel like we're not hearing the whole details.
Yeah, of course there's probably exaggeration there.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to believe that this isn't exactly the best guy that he's talking about right now.
Yeah, or maybe what they're just saying out of context. Honestly, I have no idea who this guy is, and I need to learn more about it before I form a full opinion on it.
Yeah, and down here it says when Google fired James Damore for circulating an anti-diversity memo, the company anti-diversity. Well, it was pro-diversity. It was diversity of thought.
Yeah, it wasn't an anti-diversity memo at all.
Like racial diversity doesn't help anyone unless it comes along with diversity of thought.
I believe he was saying that that you shouldn't hire people just based off their race. I mean, of
course you shouldn't. But
but I mean, I think that's what he was saying in the memo, and because of that, apparently he's anti-diversity. I mean,
there's the best. Of course we should have diversity in the workplace. We shouldn't just walk in and see all white people. We should have
whoever's fit for the
Of course we should have representation, but I mean, we shouldn't just have all people who think the same way.
Yeah.
Like if everyone thinks the same way, then it's just endless confirmation bias over and over again. And here's he said, and here's I believe it's a passage from the memo. Viewpoint diversity is arguably the most important type of diversity, and political orientation is one of the most fundamental and significant ways in which people view things differently. It's true. I mean, in highly progressive environments, conservatives are a minority that feel like they need to stay in the closet to avoid open hostility. Alienating conservatives is both non-inclusive and generally bad business because conservatives tend to be higher in consciousness.
Now, I don't know about the higher in consciousness thing.
And I'm not even a conservative, but I mean...
I am a conservative, and I have felt more persecuted than I'm sure other people have in my environment.
I'm not even a conservative, and, like, a lot of people I know have, like, we've grown apart because of our political opinions, and it's like, I'm not even a conservative. I hold a lot of liberal beliefs, but, like, I have, like, a couple conservative viewpoints, and, like, all of a sudden I can't... I have to, like, avoid talking about it.
I've been called a lot worse than those things we read in the last article, just for being a conservative. And I mean, I do feel sometimes threatened, but I mean, I take it. I don't just go to the thought police and just say, hey, we need to control these opinions. I will respect anyone's right to say it as long as they're not getting violent. People can say whatever they want. I mean, that's okay with me.
Yeah, it's like and then this is part of the article down here. You have to give it to white people. Their penchant for playing the victim while simultaneously castigating any minority who points out racism, sexism, or homophobia is nothing if not bold. Well, when people say that, they're pointing out just equality that people want to... Because, like, I noticed that, like, a lot of things in, like, the leftist movement is, like the whole... Like, through the history of civil rights and feminism, people have been fighting for equal rights, and it was a just fight. And it was something that everyone could get behind because we all wanted to be equal. But I mean, in like the 2010s, just like campus feminism, it's just this isn't inequality. Like you're trying to like have more rights.
Yeah, third wave feminism is they're now fighting for super small issues. I mean, I think they've run out of things to fight for. Yeah, I mean, people say they're fighting for women's rights. You ask them, what's one right that a woman has that a man...
The main thing that they're fighting for is like stereotypes and like
equal pay,
the rape culture thing.
By the way, we will debunk equal pay. I know if you're listening to us, you've probably heard it about 1,000 times. We'll be getting to that in a couple episodes.
And like one of the main things, like rape culture, and people are saying that like this, like the Me Too movement in Hollywood is like a big example of this. It's like, well, if they're trying, like people try to make it like. It's like horrible things that are happening in this industry. Make it seem like this is the whole world. Yeah. It's like Hollywood is a lot different than the real world.
Yeah, Hollywood's a disaster right now.
Like these things were like this stuff isn't happening in the real world. Like these horrible things that like these like
the 1 in 4 statistic.
The 1 in 4 statistic
completely made up. Completely made up. We'll debunk that one too. Yeah.
Right, do you want to move on to another article?
I think that the majority of this we've already covered, and the rest of it.
I know a lot more about this next one that we're gonna do.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna move on to the next segment, and we'll see you after this break. All right, and we're back to hear about why climate change is a racist crisis.
Yeah, and basically this was started by Black Lives Matter protesters who were kind of ironically all white. Where they laid on the tarmac at an airport at London City Airport to protest about climate change being a racist crisis. And basically, Max hasn't really heard about this. What they were saying is that since climate change most affects places like near the equator where there are a lot more minorities living, that basically it's a racist crisis. And right off the bat, that like climate change can't be racist. Like racism is something that requires intent. Yeah. Like if I own like a business that I were to like deny like a seat at a restaurant to a black man, that action itself is not racist. Like maybe there's no seats left. Like maybe he was like causing a disturbance. If I kick him out because he's black, that is racism. Yeah. Intent is something that climate change does not have. Yeah. And this is a while ago. London City Airport was shut down. This was a Black Lives Matter action Since then, our phones have been ringing constantly with requests to explain and comment on the action. This is the article. This is a while ago, but it was pretty. We should talk about it because it was saying that Britain is the largest contributor per capita of global temperature change, and it is one of the least vulnerable. And on the other hand, 7 of the 10 most vulnerable countries to climate change are in sub-Saharan Africa. But
racist.
Yeah, but it can't be racist because climate change doesn't have intent.
I know, we're just gonna keep circling back to this. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're not. Countries like America and China aren't saying we want to persecute all of the people that don't look like us, so we are going to release tons of smoke and natural gas into the atmosphere.
I don't think that thought has ever crossed anyone's mind.
Not until this article.
Anything that they can call racist, they will call racist.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you how, in especially places like California where we live, how there's not much racism to talk about, and in London and England, there's no major issues. There's not many. I wouldn't say none. I don't want to use absolutes, but there's not very many instances of severe racism where they have to come all the way out to issues like this.
Yeah, and like it said, I'm saying that Black British Africans are 28% more likely than their white counterparts to be exposed to air pollution, but right again, climate change does not have intent. It's not a living thing. Like this is like a weather phenomenon. Like not a weather phenomenon, but I mean, you get what I mean. And it can't be racist. The only possible situation where there is racism involved in climate change is like you said, if top oil executives are saying let's drill some more oil to affect the minorities, and it's this is just a thing that happens. It's
because they want money. It's not because they want to hurt people.
Whoever's living in low-lying areas near the equator is obviously going to be affected more. If it was white people living there, then it wouldn't be racist against white people because global warming still wouldn't have intent.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta be kidding me. How? What? Yeah, like I said, anything they can call racist, they will call it racist because, I mean, there's nothing left to fight for really for them, except for the whole police thing, which we can get into because I mean, there are a lot of problems with police brutality in America, but I mean, they have to make up issues.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues with police brutality, but honestly,
I mean, stick with that because that's their strength. That's where they have the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as some people think, but I mean, there definitely is racism in the police force. I agree with that. I mean, anyone should agree with that because it's true. There's not as much anymore. There's not nearly as much anymore as there was in let's say even the 1950s, but it's still there. I mean, if you want to go to issues, stick for protecting those. If there's an issue that's worth fighting for, I'll be fighting there with you. I'll be protesting with a sign with you. If there's an issue that really matters and is truly racist, I'll be there with you. But if you're going to keep talking about stuff like this, I mean, it's ridiculous. And I think that's
they're taking away from their own credibility. They're making themselves seem ridiculous to everyone else.
I think that's basically it. I mean, these people are also saying that the police treated the black people disproportionately harshly. I mean, I don't know, but probably not, just based off of
there is a lot of over-policing in black neighborhoods.
There is, I agree, but unfortunately, the crime rate's higher there.
Yeah, there is a lot more crime there, but I mean, they do have a lot of, there is a lot of over-policing that they don't need.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, they're just trying. The 99% of policemen are just trying to help stop crime. I mean,
and stop and frisk, that was
stop and frisk. I don't know as much. I don't know as much about that as I need to in order to make a case on that. So I'd rather stay away from that for now. But you know what? That's basically it for this article. I mean, it's ridiculous how these people are just treating every small instance as racism. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next segment, which will be
All right, we're back. We're just gonna do like a bit of a discussion right now about healthcare, and we're gonna be able to start to go into that with the Alfie Evans thing that happened where life support was withdrawn from the toddler, and they wouldn't let the parents take their child for treatment somewhere else. And I saw a lot of people like Steven Crowder were blaming the socialized medicine, and like I understand that like it has its flaws, and I'm a lot more further left on this than Max is. But this is socialized medicine isn't what caused this. Like them just not letting them leave is what caused this.
Yeah, but what I could say though is that if there was privatized medicine, I don't know how rich Alfie Evans or his parents were.
Oh, they were gonna like take him to Rome or something.
Well, I mean, honestly, not even rich, but they would do anything for their child. I think that if there was an option to not have socialized medicine, this might not have happened. But still, I don't believe
yeah, of course it should always be an option.
Yeah.
But like my point of view
Not
is
like
that like it's pretty like my point of view is that like it's like well there are people out there like dying because they don't have healthcare, so we should like help them have healthcare. But like if you can afford better healthcare, then you should get it.
Yeah.
But like everyone should have basic healthcare.
Basic healthcare. I agree with that.
Like people are saying that like, and there are a lot of people that always say stuff like, "Oh, we're gonna need to raise the taxes a lot," and it's like we're not. Like with the military increase that we did this year by Donald Trump, we could have afforded to do free college twice.
I don't know about that, but what I do know is that increasing the military is very important for keeping the U.S. as a global superpower, which I, unlike Joey, am really wanting.
Yeah, but I think we should. Of course, I think it's important that we're still powerful, but our military is already 9 times the size. It's already the size of the next 9 biggest militaries in a row.
I know, it's
like
great.
No one's gonna be threatening us, and we already spend like billions of dollars
Well, I mean, North
a year
Korea
on
just threatened
maintaining our
us.
military bases around the world.
North Korea just threatened us.
I mean, no, North Korea is cooling down, and like we could be on the cusp of actually getting peace in Korea and like actually ending the Korean War because like it's been going
on for over 60 years.
It's just been at a stalemate.
Yeah.
And like they shook hands. Like they shook hands in South Korea, they shook hands in North Korea. And I mean, it was pretty awkward seeing them like hold hands for like 2 minutes. It's like with Trump and Macron. Like Trump and Macron are dating now.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like hopefully it's gonna get a lot better.
Yeah.
And like with our with maintaining our military, like we do have threats. Like with Iran, people are always saying that like Iran could do something, but the only person that's ever violated the Iran nuclear deal is us.
But we don't know.
We
they
violated
might
first.
have. We don't know if they did. There's been no proof that they have.
I don't think that they have.
But who knows, honestly.
And like, I'm stealing this joke from John Oliver, but I mean, like our relationship with Iran is like the Star Wars of international relationships. It was really good in the 70s, really horrible for a really long time, and hopefully on the cusp of a revival.
Well, the new Star Wars sucks, so that's something to be said.
Yeah, The Last Jedi. Yeah, they really screwed it up with the diversity token. Yeah, like
Rose.
Yeah, and then like when people hated it, it's like people acting like we hated it because she was Asian. Well, it's like, no, I hated her because that was her character.
Yeah.
Like her character is my sister died and I'm not white. So, but like,
yeah.
I don't even care like what race the characters are as long as they're interesting characters.
Yeah, Rose.
Like they didn't even try to make her a good character.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Rose was just. We're getting off topic here, but honestly, just last point. Rose honestly killed The Last Jedi for me. I didn't like it anyway. She made it 10 times worse without it, and that's really all I can
but
say.
it wasn't
without
really that
spoiling
good.
anything.
Besides that,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like there were a lot of
wasn't even good.
like the casino planet thing,
yeah.
and like I agree with a lot of things they're saying, but they were like with that they were basically that was the anti-capitalist scene.
It was, yeah. They were like, these people are hurting us by making stuff for the opposition, so we should destroy it all.
Yeah, I mean,
we should all love each other.
Yeah, but like with like the capitalism thing, like it's pretty messed up that corporations don't pay any taxes. Like people like the hardcore right's always saying like, well, if you guys want to do the healthcare, we're gonna have to raise taxes on people. It's like, No, we're just gonna have to make rich people and corporations actually pay the taxes that they already owe.
Yeah, well,
They don't pay any taxes at all.
yeah, well, they actually do pay taxes.
Yeah, but they pay so much
What
less.
what I totally agree with.
I'm pretty sure last year, I think it was in 2017, General Electric paid $0 in taxes.
I don't know, but the problem is with raising taxes is that then corporations start moving out and moving to Mexico, moving to China, and we want those corporations here. We want our Americans to have those jobs, and it's better for our country when the jobs stay here. And incentivizing taxes, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to do that.
Well, yeah, well, we can have loopholes and tax loopholes to incentivize, but I think it's pretty messed up that corporations can get away with paying no taxes at all, because that's just taking money away from that we could use on education, we could use on healthcare, and
Yeah.
we could.
I'd love to go more in depth with that because I don't know about that as much, and I'd love to just actually have in the next podcast maybe do another segment on that, talking about it more when we have more details on it.
Yeah, and back to the North Korea thing, with there's a lot of things that Donald Trump has been doing to screw over the middle class with his tax plan, his taxes are only cut for 8 years on people making $100,000 or less. That's probably off, but I know that it's only temporary on the middle class.
No, it's not temporary, but there are temporary incentives on the middle class. What I like the most about his tax plan, though, that he cut tax on small businesses because I actually have a lot of family that owns a small business, and it's really hard having to pay so many taxes with it, and having Donald Trump be able to at least do at least somewhat cut the taxes is really helpful to them already, is what I've heard.
And I'm okay with cutting taxes on small businesses and the middle class, but we better still be getting tax dollars that we need. If we're cutting taxes somewhere, we should probably make the upper class actually pay their taxes, because they don't pay taxes. Most of them, well, they do, but I mean, there's so many loopholes for people who are for the 1%, and I mean,
Bernie Sanders.
You could just make people pay taxes.
Yeah. You know what? I think we're gonna end it off here. I think we should have some good discussions, and in the future, we're gonna have some really good people on the show. We're gonna go out to some rallies. So check us out on Twitter, and we'll be on YouTube.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.